Hey everybody, I'm Marbozir, and this is going to be a bit of a nostalgia trip, because why the heck not? I figured I'll do something a little bit different. So, this is Master of Magic. This is, if you're not familiar with it, that's total heresy by the way. So this is one of the best turn-based fantasy 4X games ever made. Period. This is a game released back in 1994, so it's over 20 years old now. But this is still easily one of the best fantasy-based 4X strategy games ever. I used to play this a lot back in the day, maybe even more than Civ back then, or at least as much as Civ. This game is just amazing, and even though it's 20 years old now, it's still pretty damn good even today. Just the visuals don't quite hold up. I mean, it is a game made in 1994 after all, but in terms of game mechanics, this game is still amazing. So anyway, this is probably not going to be a full series, I just felt like doing something a little bit different. And this is actually something I wanted to do ever since I had like 300 subscribers on YouTube back in 2011. So let's do it now, because why not? But hey, if you guys want to see more after the first episode, I will probably do more. There are also some other old games that I would love to showcase on the channel, but we'll see how it goes. In any case, it's going to be at least one episode, this one. I will talk a little bit about how to actually play, because I assume not all of you will be familiar with this, considering it's 20 years old. But I won't go super in-depth. A lot of the things are fairly self-explanatory, honestly, or at least that's how I feel. I'm probably a little bit biased. Anyway, difficulty is self-explanatory. We're going to play on normal because, honestly, the last time I played this was, I don't know, 5 years ago? And by the way, this game is available on GOG.com, so you can buy it there if you would like to. For opponents, land size can be small, medium or large. We'll go with medium. And we'll keep magic on normal. So there are tooltips for everything, so I can right click on magic and we'll get the explanation of what exactly this does. This produces less or more power per node. It will make more sense once we actually start playing. And now we can select our wizard. We can also customize our wizard, which is something I always used to do, because this is one of the biggest strengths of this game, honestly. We'll just pick... Doesn't really matter, this is purely visual. So, here we can pick our spells. We have a number of spellbooks, we have 11 picks. And we can pick any combination of spellbooks in any of these magic types. We just can't mix life and death, I believe. So if I take anything in death, I can't take life. So the number of spellbooks that we pick will basically determine how strong we'll be in this specific magic type. So if I put everything into death, I will get all the, well, maybe not all, but I will get the most advanced death spells possible. And I will get to pick some of the death spells right at the start of the game. If I put less into death, we'll still get some death magic, but less advanced. We won't get some of the advanced late game spells if I don't put enough spellbooks here. So we can go full into one magic type. You can spend half of your picks on one magic type and the other half on the other. You can put one spellbook in some specific magic type, because let's say you want to get a specific spell from that magic type. There's a pretty good spell in nature, for example, which is really nice to explore the map with. There are some combat buffs, because this game does have tactical combat, and that was one of the bigger strengths of this game back in the day. So anyway, there's a lot of flexibility with this system. One of the many reasons why it's so good. The replayability is pretty damn good. And there are a lot of combinations that work really well together. There are a lot of possible strategies with all kinds of spells. In any case, I'm going to put a few in Chaos. It has some pretty nice tactical combat spells. I'll put 1 or 2 into Nature and a few into Life. Something like this. Maybe 2 in Life, 2 in Nature, and the rest in Chaos. Alright. Another thing we can do is spend our picks on these perks or abilities up here. So there are some really good ones here. Like for example, the Warlord, that's one of the perks that I really liked playing with. You have to spend 2 picks to get this, and this increases the level of all units under your control. And leveling up units is pretty damn important because their power level can increase significantly with every single promotion. So this is one of the better perks, I feel. There's also a very special perk here, Miran, which starts you on the alternative plane, because this game has 2 maps. The main world and Miran, which is the second alternative world, which you generally don't start in unless you have this perk. It's more dangerous and more rewarding. You can get there by defeating neutral monsters at towers that connect these 2 planes. But you can also start there if you pick this perk. Let's actually go with Warlord, and I'll give up the points in life. We'll go for nature, 2 in nature and rest in chaos, and we'll be a Warlord. Why not? But as I said, there are a lot of possible combinations there, and strategies. So this is where we get to pick which spells we'll start with. I won't be going into details into every single one, but there are some general categories. So, for example, we have Firebolt, which is a direct damage spell that I can use on an enemy unit in combat. We have buffs. So for example, this is a buff. I can use this on a unit, and it will provide that unit with a sustained effect. I will also have to pay mana upkeep. We can also summon creatures, like the Fire Elemental. This is an in-combat summon. So I can use this during tactical combat, and it will summon a Fire Elemental. And we also have strategic summons. So Hellhounds. This is a permanent group of monsters that we can summon on the strategic map. And we'll get to keep them as long as they stay alive, and we pay upkeep in mana. So the Fire Elemental doesn't have upkeep in mana because this is not a strategic spell. You have to cast this in combat every single time. We also have spells such as Corruption, which affects the strategic map. You can cast this on any tile on the map, and it will corrupt that land, which means it will provide no food or minerals. It can be restored by certain units. And we also have spells like this. This is also a tactical spell, which destroys all ammunition of a target normal unit. So this pretty much cripples ranged units. And I quite like this one. We'll go for Warpwood, we'll go for Fire Elemental, we'll go for Hellhounds. I don't really like Wall of Fire too much. What else can we go for? Firebolt to have a direct damage spell. And Disrupt can be nice to attack cities with walls, but we won't need it right at the start, really. What else? Warp Creature, I think. Yeah, this gives a random debuff to the target. So half strength attacks, half strength defense, or no magic resistance. That's pretty good. We'll grab that. Alright, and now we can pick one spell in nature. So one of the pretty good spells in here is... where was it? Earthlore. So this fully reveals terrain on the targeted map window. This is amazing to scout and explore the map with. So that's one of the reasons why I put some picks into nature. We'll grab this. Water walking is also quite nice. You can use this on settlers, for example, and settle a landmass that's other than your own. And here's another very interesting part of this game. You can pick your race. This doesn't mean this will be the only race you will be able to play with, because you will be able to take cities from other races, and various different races play very differently, because many races don't have access to certain buildings. They have completely different units. Some races have highly specialized units. So for example, halflings have some of the better and easier to access ranged units, the slingers. They are pretty easy to recruit, and they can be just amazing when combined with some buffs. There are races such as the High Elf, which receive half of power point per population. These are pretty good. There are also races that are native to Meran world. So Beastmen, Dark Elf, Draconian. These races are generally better than the Arcanian races. They have better units. They have some nice bonuses. Like for example, It's not very obvious here, but the Dark Elf have some really nice bonuses on their buildings, but they do grow very slowly. And the Trolls, for example, have units with regeneration. Every single Troll unit has regeneration, which can be really damn strong. So a lot of benefits of these races are not quite obvious from these tooltips, because the strengths mostly come from the units that they can recruit. As for our choice, let's go for Halflings. I loved playing with Slingers. Alright, that's the setup. And here we are, Hillshire. That's our first city. So, there are a few things to talk about here. Cities work in a pretty similar way as cities in Civ. So, we can get buildings, we can recruit units. We do not get to assign any tiles directly, we can control which citizens will be farmers and which ones will be workers. So right now, this right here is our excess food, generated by farmers. We can only control these last two guys, because the first two have to generate food in order to sustain the city itself. The extra food is the excess food that we'll get, indicated right here. Right now we are getting free excess food. Every single unit, well, not every single unit, but every unit has upkeep, and most regular units have food upkeep. Some units have mana upkeep, mostly units we can summon. But these two guys, for example, have upkeep in food. This guy has 1 food upkeep, this guy has 1 gold and 1 food. If we run out of food, some units will get disbanded, because we won't be able to sustain them anymore. Anyway, right now we will assign these two guys to production, because we want to finish some production quickly. Also, the one unique thing about the Halflings is that each Halfling citizen produces 3 food instead of 2 food. Most races produce 1 food per citizen. Halflings produce 3 food. That's one of the things they are good at. So the resources in every city are food, production gold, and mana. These are fairly self-explanatory. Mana is used for 3 different things. So let's talk about the magic tab here. That's one of the more important ones. We can split our mana into mana reserve, which is this category right here, into research. This goes towards researching spells, and skill. This goes towards increasing our casting skill. Right now we can use 18 mana per turn. That's our current casting skill. And the free mana on this screen is the free mana that we can see here. This will increase our total mana reserve, which is this thing over here. This is our total mana. This is the mana that we can spend on actual spells. So right now that's 0, which basically means I would be able to use free mana per turn if I were to cast something. So we do have spells that we picked right at the start. If I wanted to cast Hellhounds, I would have to spend a lot of turns to do that, because while I do have 18 casting skill, I just don't have enough mana. I would be casting that spell at the rate of 3 mana per turn. Anyway, back to the city. We are going to get a granary. That's what I like to start with, because that will give us +2 food, and it will increase our city growth. So we'll grab granary. There are buildings here that are going to unlock more units. So the shrine, for example, gives us mana, and it unlocks a ranged magical unit, the shaman. That's a pretty important building to get early on. We also have the library, which will give us +2 spell research points specifically. So this will specifically increase this category right here in the middle, research. We don't get to spend that on anything else. Anyway, granary first. And we start with 2 units, 1 swordsman and 1 spearman. So, this is the rank currently. They are regular because we are a warlord. So what warlord does is that it gives you 1 additional rank over what you would have with your current experience. So if leveling up to a regular usually requires 10 experience, for example, I don't remember the exact value, it's been too long. We will be a regular instead. Then we would need 60 experience to become a veteran, but we will become a veteran faster because we get 1 rank over what we would normally have on this unit. And these are their special perks, abilities, or whatever you want to call it. They have a large shield, which gives them +2 defense. They are also lucky, which adds +1 to all the unit rolls. Most halfling units get this. And they get additional chance to hit, which is quite nice. We also have the spearmen, which are just lucky and get +1 to hit. So we are going to explore a bit. There are a few things on the strategic map that are worth knowing about, but first let's talk about research. So these are the spells that we can research. Some of these you might recognize from the setup screen before we started the game. So we had a chance to pick up Wall of Fire. I could have started the game with Wall of Fire, but I didn't, so I can still research that. I could have started the game with Corruption if I wanted to. We'll go for the cheap spells for now. This is a tactical spell that creates a 5x5 area, which slows down enemy units. Friendly units too. We'll grab that, that's only 7 turns. So there are a few things on the strategic map, there are nodes. This thing right here is a node. I can press F1 or go into info and pick up the surveyor option to check every single tile and what it does. There's a resource here. This is a resource that will give us +3 gold. But we have a node here, so what this does is, if I defeat the group that guards it, which I won't be able to do with these units, I'll be able to meld a ghost or a spirit, which is a unit that we'll be able to summon later, and then the node will generate mana for us. We can basically take control of the node and make it generate mana for us, but first we need to defeat the guardians. There's a monster lair over here, and our scouts have spotted an earth elemental. So I can tell you right away that a swordsman cannot beat an earth elemental. That's just not going to happen. We are going to scout around a bit. There's a good chance we'll run into a neutral city. Maybe even a city that will have a race other than halflings. We'll see about that. We'll take a look around. And once I find valid locations for cities, I can check what the maximum population of that city will be. If I start a city here, for example, it will have maximum population of 9. This city will have maximum population of 11. Our capital currently has a maximum population of 18. And 37% production bonus, 12% gold bonus. And the granary is done. Now I can assign 1 extra dude to production. And I think I'll grab a shrine. I like to unlock the shaman. The shaman is pretty nice. If we find a good location for a city, we will get settlers immediately. Another thing we could get first is a library that will speed up our research, and research is pretty damn slow at the start, as you might have noticed. That's only 7 turns. We can summon hellhounds. I'm just waiting to get more mana for that. Oh yeah, now, food. As I mentioned earlier, if I drop into negative food per turn, some of the units will disband, and you will get a warning if you try to end a turn while being in negative food. If I say yes right now, one of my units will get disbanded, so I have to get at least 1 more farmer in my capital. Research is done, that was the earth to mud. I'll just go for the cheapest spells right now because these other spells will take way too long to research. So while I don't really need Wall of Stone because it's not like my city is being threatened, we'll research that anyway. So we can get 1 city here. It won't be an amazing city, but up to 15 population, I'll probably start a city there. We'll need to either get water walking or build a shipyard. And in order to build a shipyard, we need a coastal city, obviously. So for now, these guys will have to stay in our city. Not the biggest landmass of all times. So we will definitely get a settler as soon as that library is done to start the second city. Change. Settler. There's no way I will be able to beat an earth elemental. Oh yeah, I didn't check what's guarding the other node. By the way, the scouting information that you get can be a little bit misleading. It's just a general idea what to expect. Just because we get told that we spotted some specific unit can mean a lot of different things. There might be just 1 single unit guarding that location. It might be 1 out of many other units. So for example, the monster lair right here could have just 1 single earth elemental guarding it, but it might also have 1 earth elemental and let's say 5 or 6 groups of spiders, other nasty things. You can't really assume whether it's going to be easy or hard just based on this information. You can assume it's going to be very hard if it's a tough monster type that you recognize. Right, Dispel Magic. We'll definitely need more units to beat any of these things. What did this node have? That was... oh yeah, Chaos Spawn, right. I don't think I'll be able to beat any of these. At least not anytime soon. That's just not going to happen. More production. The settlers are almost done. And here we go, we got some settlers. We'll give them an escort, which probably isn't really necessary. And we'll build that shrine. So the shrine also reduces unrest level by 1, and as you can see, we already have some unrest in here. I can reduce the unrest if I leave some units inside the city. So if I move this guy here, I think I need the spearman as well. Yep, the unrest is reduced. So no unrest. Military presence reduces unrest a bit. So this is going to be a city right here, right next to the node. That seems reasonable. Build. Now we'll have to wait in order to get an actual city. You start with an outpost. It needs to grow before we can actually do anything with it. So we'll have to wait for that. We need to get to that other landmass ASAP. That probably means we'll need some ships. I could have picked water walking on the setup instead of Earthlore, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Water walking is pretty good to settle quickly. Right, so now we can get a shaman. It's a pretty nice unit. It's also a healer unit. So you can use it not only to attack your enemies, but you can also use him to... So it's a healer unit, which means it will heal some of the damage the units stacked with it took. It's not a So this is a healer unit, which doesn't mean it can heal in combat. It means that it will heal the entire stack faster after combat. It's quite nice. We also have a Purify ability, which allows it to remove corruption from a square. There was a corruption spell, if you remember. So this can be used to purify the corruption. Right, but a shaman will not really help us beat any of these monster lairs or nodes, because the monsters guarding them are just way too strong for us at the moment. So we could go for a marketplace, which also unlocks the farmer's market, which is basically more food. Or we could go for armory, which will unlock one of the better halfling units, the slingers. The armory will only take 8 turns. I could even try to kill that earth elemental if I get a bunch of slingers. I could definitely see that happening. And we can start casting some spells. So here's the magic spirit. This is what we can use to meld with a node, which will give us more mana. But before I can meld with a node, I need to defeat the guardians. Alright, we'll use Earthlore. So I can cast Earthlore on a map window, which will reveal that entire map window. Water walking. Let's grab water walking. Okay, we'll cast it right here to see what this landmass is. And we got a city, halfling city. Not bad. There's also a nature node right here. And here's a tower. So this is how you can reach the other plane. Miran, or Mirror, whatever. But it's usually well guarded by some pretty damn strong groups of monsters. So you have to be well prepared. Alright, we got over 100 mana, so it's probably a good idea to summon some hellhounds. And here's the first hero. So heroes are special units that generally can get much stronger than regular units. They start out fairly weak, but as you level them up, they gain much more stats, extra abilities, and you can equip items on them. Items is something you can find in ruins. You can also create items with a spell that you can research later in the game. There are some really damn powerful items that you can use on heroes. A hero with good items and a lot of experience can be almost unstoppable, especially some of the advanced heroes, because this is a very basic hero type. There are some more advanced heroes. There are spells that allow you to summon one of the advanced hero types. It's called Summon Champion, I believe. There's also a Summon Hero, which summons weaker heroes. We'll definitely grab this guy, and he will immediately level up because we have the Warlord perk. So now he has Might +2. And this just makes him stronger, basically. This increases his hand-to-hand attack. And he got extra stats. So we got Hellhounds, so our army is getting a little bit stronger now. I'll try to beat that Earth Elemental, but we'll wait for at least one Slinger. Maybe two Slingers. Maybe a Shaman. Slingers are amazing, but they do require quite a lot of production. We could get a Shaman in 6 turns. The downside of the Shaman is that it only has 4 attacks per combat, I believe. So they are pretty good, but they can't attack from range forever. And we got our second city now. So in order to build the really basic buildings, we need the Builder's Hall. We already started with the Builder's Hall in our capital, because you always get one in your first city, but we have to build one here before we'll be able to get any of these basic buildings. I usually start with that. We don't have to, but yeah, that's what unlocks Granary, Library, and all kinds of things. So let's get a Slinger. And that might or might not be enough. Taking control of magic nodes is pretty damn important, as you might have figured out, because that increases your mana pool, that increases your casting skill, that gives you more research points. Mana is one of the most important resources in this game, because it's used for so many things. And you use mana to cast tactical spells, obviously, you use mana to cast everything, and it's used as upkeep for summoned units, so we are currently getting 2 mana per turn, even though we got 3 mana here. That's because we are paying 1 mana maintenance for the Hellhounds every single turn. Alright, we got the Slinger, so let's end this episode with a bang. We'll attack this lair, which might be a terrible idea. If there are more powerful units in here, then we'll probably die a terrible death. But we can give it a shot. Yep, there are 2 Earth Elementals. This probably means we're going to get murdered. But hey, we'll give it a shot. As I said, we'll go out with a bang. We might be able to kill at least one of these things, that would be great. I'll probably focus on the Sprites. That's a ranged unit, and it's definitely weaker than the Earth Elementals. The Earth Elementals have a lot of health, as you might have guessed. We can definitely kill at least some of these Sprites quite easily. So you don't have to use units in specific order. You can right click on any of these units and move them in any order you want. You can also move them partially, so I can move Hellhounds like this, then I can take a shot with the Slingers, and then I can move the Hellhounds again, if I want to. So you can do anything you want, in any order you want. We also do have spells, so I could summon a Fire Elemental, which is probably the best thing we can do here. We are almost definitely going to get murdered by these Earth Elementals, but whatever. We'll give it a shot. Who knows? Yeah, our Slingers will probably get killed by the Sprites. I can't attack Sprites directly because that's a flying unit, and none of our melee units can actually attack a flying unit. Let's see, yeah, the Earth Elementals will just murder us terribly. We can flee from combat, and that's probably what I'll end up doing. I was just hoping to kill at least one Sprite, honestly. So we'll see if we can do that. If our Slingers get killed, yep, they got killed, alright. I could move towards the Sprites to get them to attack the hero, for example, and try to kill them like that. That's not a terrible idea. I could also just kill off the Hellhounds by attacking one of the Earth Elementals with them. We can summon more Hellhounds one way or the other. And these are very basic units too, I don't really need to keep the Swordsman or the Spearman. Yep, we killed the Sprites, nice. There's a pretty good chance our hero will get killed if we flee. Right, the hero can attack the Sprites. If there was just one Earth Elemental, we could actually win this fight, I think. I actually feel that... Hold on, maybe we can win it regardless. Yeah, there's a chance that we'll be able to win it. No, I didn't want to press auto. Yeah, that was a misclick right there. But we did some solid damage. This is going to be extremely close, actually. I don't think our hero is quite strong enough to beat an Earth Elemental on his own. Yeah, he will take way too much damage. But this was very, very close. Right, I'm just going to flee. He survived. Well, we can finish off that group. I did better than I expected. If there was just one Earth Elemental in that group, we would have won right there. Alright, we'll summon another Hellhound. Let's see if we can beat the lair before I finish the episode. Because why not? We got the Hellhounds. And I have enough mana to summon more Hellhounds, because why not? I have no idea what we'll get out of this. We might get an item for the hero. There's the other Hellhound, and we are about to get Slingers. This should be enough to beat that Elemental. I'm pretty sure it will be. Alright, let's give it a shot. The group doesn't go back to full strength, as you might have guessed. We just got the Earth Elemental to deal with. But he will be back at full health. It's just the units that we already killed that are gone. I'm pretty sure we can kill it. We'll probably throw away the Hellhounds. Hopefully it will be worth it. Yeah, I hope this was enough. I will back up with the hero while we do damage with the Slingers. The Slingers are pretty good, but so is the Earth Elemental. We need to do more damage. He's down to red. Okay, let's move away from him. Okay, we can do something like this. And not attack him, he will attack the hero. There we go! We beat it! We got 20 gold, 90 mana, and Wall of Fire spell. That saved us some research time. It's not the most useful spell ever, but having this researched will give us other research options. Was it worth all the mana that we spent on the Hellhounds? It would have been worth it if this was a node. But it was probably worth it anyway. And I got to show you the combat. Our city is getting much bigger now. I'll finish the Slingers. And let's have a look at this city. 8 more turns to finish the Builder's Hall. We can spend some gold to rush that, and that's definitely a good idea. And now, let's have a look. So we're going to need the Shipwrights Guild. That's 34 turns. That will take a while. I'll probably rush this once it's closer to completion. And how are we doing with our research? Let's have a look. No, that's the governor or whatever. Which was the research? Oh yeah, apprentice. We need 4 more turns to finish waterwalking. So we'll get started on settlers. I don't actually need to build this. I will use waterwalking. So we'll build a shrine to get more mana. Because as I said, mana is easily one of the most important resources in this game. The more mana you have, the better. There's the Slinger, and now we can get started on settlers. We know what to expect from this. Landmass, island, continent, whatever you want to call it. We can't actually see the defenders here because we are too far away. And we can cast Earthlore again to see what's going on. There's waterworking, and we'll just keep researching the cheap spells. And we got a new hero. 2 gold upkeep. So, thrown weapons. What else does he have? Oh yeah, these are slots for special items. So he has a sword slot, an armor slot, and a miscellaneous slot. Different heroes will have different slots. So he's lucky, he has +1 to hit, and he's a mountaineer. We'll take him. These are fairly basic hero types, but it's still useful to have heroes as soon as possible. Okay, so we actually discovered a second faction. Let's have a look. Nomads. Okay then. We won't make contact with that person just yet, and he's already controlling a node. Okay then. It's better than us. Need to fix that. But anyway, I think this episode is long enough now. I don't know if I'm going to do more. This was a bit of a nostalgia trip. Let me know if you enjoyed it. If you did, I might do more of this. I might continue this, record a little bit more, or maybe I'll showcase other old games. There are quite a few old games that I enjoyed a lot, that I would definitely showcase if this kind of thing is something you guys want to see. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this trip down the memory lane. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.